Hi everyone.
Hi, Ilan.
Hi, hello.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Elan.
Hi
Hello.
Daniel. Good to see you. Hi Karen.
Do people use the webcam here?
Hi, Karen. Hi, all. I cannot turn on my camera for today.
Okay, I'll just use my webcam. I like people to see my face.
It's okay. I prefer with camera, but I cannot turn on it today.
Yeah, I am not able to turn the camera on today, but maybe we can get started. Let me check if we are recording today. Oh, Karen, do you think maybe we can record a call? I think today is gonna be a very insightful
It's
conversation.
already recording.
All right, awesome.
This,
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, for today's agenda, we are planning to discuss about the experience of Chainlink working with similar cases than the one that we have in the POCs, especially within interoperability in the case of Drax and some others. Um, I know that, well, Alvaro is part of the training. Alvaro, not sure if you would like to introduce yourself. I think it's the first time that we are meeting.
Sure, yeah. I'm happy to make some intros here. So this is Alvaro. I'm a principal solutions architect, uh, and I work for Chainlink. I work mainly with large financial organizations and MIs, market infrastructures, to help them integrate with chains and explore other large and complex projects to integrate Chainlink. So really, the essence of Chainlink to bridge off-chain with on-chain, and that involves different products products of Chainlink. We're gonna see a few of them today. That can be CCIP or CRE, the Chainlink runtime environment, data feed, so quite large. So that's me. Uh, Later today, we're going to be joined by Jairo. He is another Chainlink colleague. Um, but yeah, that's me. And I
Thank you very
understand,
much.
right? And I
Mhm.
understand we're going to discuss CCIP today,
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
right?
Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Alvaro. So I would like to welcome two other people joining today the call, Daniel Recinos and Freddy. So welcome to this working group. Daniel, would you like to introduce yourself? Just in case, Daniel, you're on mute. If not,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, sorry. Thank you, Elan. Well,
Mhm.
I'm Daniel Recinos. I'm in charge of ethics chain team. We are barely starting to implement solutions in Web3 here in Guatemala. But yeah, I'm very excited to be here and learn what and which other applications can we also start thriving.
Awesome. Thank you for this for joining this conversation. I don't know if you have a little bit of background of CBWeb3, but happy to give a little bit of introduction of it. Let's pass the word to Freddy, also to introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invite to this working group. So I'm Freddie. I work with QuickNode. We're a blockchain development platform. We basically make it easy and fast for people to build, scale, operate Web3 applications. We provide those we provide projects with like RPC endpoints, real-time data APIs, analytics, automation tools, all really just designed to help eliminate infrastructure complexity, so that teams can focus on just, shipping products, as opposed to maintaining, their own nodes or servers. So whether you're launching a new dApp, powering some sort of enterprise scale type platform, or integrating blockchain data into existing systems, we provide services and products that allow you to deliver those quick and effortlessly. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Freddy. Where do you come from? Where are you based?
So I myself am Mexicano, but I am based
Okay.
in San Jose, California, so Silicon Valley.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So we have people from that. Albert, you're in London, right? In UK.
I am, but I'm originally from Colombia.
Okay, got it. Uh-huh. Okay. And we have Freddy from Mexico living in US, Daniel from Guatemala, and Ana. Welcome to this working group. Would you like to introduce yourself? Ana, just in case you're in mute.
Good morning. I am Ana from Guatemala. I only speak Spanish. Excuse me. I am only solamente les voy a escuchar. Thank you.
Got it. No problem. Let me switch real quick to Spanish. Ana, no hay ningún inconveniente. Por si sirve de ayuda, entiendo que Zoom ofrece una versión de translation o de subtitular lo que se está diciendo, por si eso te ayuda. Ok. Y voy a cambiar ahora a inglés. All right. Thank you, Ana, and thank you everyone for joining this call. So we have people from that is joining to this working group, which is exciting. I would like to share with you guys a little bit of background before we start, or before we pass the word to Alvaro. CBWeb3 is an initiative led by Elnet, which is an NGO, a Latin American NGO, to provide blockchain infrastructure. And we are using, and we have been using, or we have been evolving from LACchain, which was an initiative from IDB, Inter-American Development Bank. And now this initiative is led by Elnet. In join with some other organizations, including IDB, including FLAR, which is the Latin American Reserve Fund, and SEMLA, which is kind of like a economic center, research economic center of Latin America. So those initiatives, or those leaders, are helping us with this initiative that is called CBWeb3, and I would like to welcome Sergio Basoveri. Happy to see you, Sergio. Basically, we are in the midterm of this initiative. That doesn't mean that we have like that we are late in the execution. Actually, we are in good time, but we have been like completing some of the initials or the prerequisites, tasks or requirements that we need to start building this kind of products. So we have a working group of central banks with 12 central banks of Latin America. This is an initiative exclusively for Latin American central banks. And the idea is to, through POCs, create awareness and knowledge on the central bank's decision makers to let them assess the value of central bank tokenized central bank money, basically. So in these sessions that we are going to have every 2 weeks, probably in the next one is we are going to be canceling because of the holiday season. But it seems that we are going to have an agenda with each of the topics that we will need to review to develop the components required by the central banks. So every week we have every week we have a leadership call. This is limited. So basically in this leadership call, we define what is going to be the communication flow with the central banks. Every month we have a meeting, a strategic meeting with central banks where they basically get information, and based on that information, they provide us requirements. And then we have a biweekly session like this one, where we share, or where we are able to share requirements from the central banks, and maybe we can define who is going to be develop in which component, basically. So this is kind of like a coordination kind of activity, kind of session. For today, we want to understand a little bit better what is the experience that Chainlink has built in the projects that they have working, or that they have been working on, especially in Drex, especially we know that they have been doing some other things in Asia. So we can understand, for example, what is the tech stack that we can use to consider into the POC, and then go with a proposal to the central banks and basically present a proposal. For this, or similar to interoperability, we have privacy, we have um, the network activities, we have application stuff. So we have a set of issues that we have been creating, and we are going to be adding more in the next weeks. So we would like to welcome you guys. Take a look at the GitHub repository and the issues section. You are going to find some of the areas that we consider are needed, or they need to be addressed somehow in this project. I mentioned that we are in the mid-term of this project. It means that in December, mostly in November next year, we should be finishing this project. Now we are in a conversation to we're considering this phase 1 of the project, and we are in the conversation to have another phase, because we were expecting, this is our initial planning, we were expecting to have 2 central banks, and the reality is that we have 12. So if we consider that in Latin America, we have around 24 countries. So we consider that half of the countries are interested in this. So we are having a conversation with some donors to understand how we can expand this phase 1 into a phase 2. And probably not talking about POCs, but probably talking about piloting. So that's one of the things that, or the relevance why this project is kind of important. And Carolina, I'm not sure if you would like to add something or clarify something before we pass the word to Alvaro.
No, no, for the moment it's okay, Ilan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Just also, there is a minor or announcement that I would like to make. I am in transitioning my role, as I am formally, or yeah, I am the ecosystem lead of initially blockchain, then then Elnet, but I am in a transition for personal reasons and for a project that I'm leading. So this is going to be my last session with you. Probably I'm going to be joining from time to time, mostly for curiosity purposes. But yeah, formally speaking, I'm going to be transitioning these activities. All right. Carolina will remain as part of the team. Her focus is mostly technical. But yeah, just want to clarify that expectation. Right. And now I would like, thank you, Karen. Yeah. And now pass the word to Alvaro. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Elon. It's a shame you won't be part of this initiative just when we arrive. It is what it is. But now, sorry, I'm before I start. Now that I have the mic, can I ask a question? Very interesting the way you describe it. CBWeb3, all the initiatives. Congratulations on extending the group to 12 central banks. My question here is around the POC to pilot. So you mentioned that next year the idea is to finalize some of these ideas that are being gathered. But it wasn't clear to me when is this transition from POC to pilot?
Yeah, that I believe that we are right now in that conversation. The expectation or the scope of this project is only for POCs. All right. So if we are gonna be speaking, I mean, it's too early yet to speak about a scope of a pilot, or if we are going to extend in some other POCs or whatever. I think we are still too early. But the message here is that we were expecting a demand of 2 central banks. The reality is that we have 6 times that, and that's a clear signal for us that there is a a need that we need to explore. So what is actually that need is probably what we are going to be having a conversation during this year with the central banks and try to define also what is going to be the scope for a phase 2.
Okay, that's clear. Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, so I'll share my screen if that's all right. Let's see if I can take it from here. Yeah, it looks like I'm able to share.
So, gentlemen and everybody on the phone call, this is Jairo. I just joined. Fortunately, I'm driving right now, so I'll only be able to hear the meeting, but I'll comment as things go along.
No worries. So obviously we're gonna talk about the cross-chain interoperability protocol, which is quite a big topic and very relevant for the day. But I thought that it would be useful to revisit why this protocol exists and how it really works and where does it sit in the stack of Chainlink. Can I assume I have 30 minutes, Ilan, or how much time do I have?
Yeah, you have 30 minutes. So yeah, we have to the end of the session, but yeah, we can plan to have 30 to 35, so we can also have some room for questions.
Okay, great. So let's keep the questions till the end. I'm not gonna consume more than 30 minutes, and so we can have that conversation. And if needed, if we have time, we can deep dive in some of the aspects. But great. So first thing first, you have seen, I hope, the name of Chainlink out there, and Chainlink, I think it's fair to say that is the leader when it comes to oracles and feeding smart contracts with data. As you know, those contracts that are on chain, they are isolated. They are immutable. They are deterministic, but they live in isolation. So when it comes to gather data from the outside, just do simple things. For example, if we're talking about a DVP or a PVP, what's the price of a specific stablecoin? Well, you need data in order to say, okay, what's the equivalent of this stablecoin in the outside world? What's the collateral, or things like what's the price of Ethereum today? So before you engage in a DVP, deliveries versus payment, you need to bring this data from the offside, the off-chain world, as we call, and Chainlink is the standard for doing that. What are oracles? I'm going back to the basics because this is going to help us in understanding CCIP. But what are oracles? People sometimes ask this question. Oracle, it's not a server or an entity running this thing in the world of Chainlink. Oracles are actually several nodes running off chain and doing the same computations, all of them, before they get to a consensus. So a good example of this is if we're looking at the price of Bitcoin against USD, you want to bring this data from the offside from different sources. I'm sharing the screen, but have all these nodes here, each of the nodes saying, hey, go and look for data. Then come up to a consensus on who is right, who is wrong, or what's the median of the price before you write that on chain. So I have prepared for you here. You can have a look anytime after this call. When you go to the data.chain.link, we can have here tons of data feeds. And all of these data feeds are run by oracles. So if we take the one was given as an example, we see that many contracts on chain are reading from these data feeds. And guess who's running that? There's oracles, servers around the world. Obviously, these are servers that Chainlink onboard. And you will see here, if I zoom in, that some of them will come up with some prices. And there are different variations. And that's all right. That's normal because these are coming from different sources. But the important thing is that they all came up to a consensus. And there is obviously a very secure protocol behind the scenes to say, well, if you're lying, then you're gonna get punished. And so there is a whole protocol behind the scenes to help in achieving that. So that's for oracles. And then now that we have that in mind, one of the cool things about these oracles is that somehow my slide is not showing here properly. Second. So now that we have those oracles in mind, these are the foundations of Chainlink. What Chainlink is evolving is to build products on top of those oracles. And tCIP is one of them. But we also have other products such as Chainlink runtime environment, which is actually another bridge, if you like, but this time to integrate Web2 or traditional applications into on-chain. So and we will see this later, but a typical example that we've seen and we run with Swift, the large payment platform, is that they can take some of the existing messages as standards, ISO 20 or 22, and bring those on chain to do certain operations, to do digital transfer agents or even DVP. And this is where CRE is powering those institutions in bridging, if you like. And there are other products out there. Obviously, we just saw data feeds, and this continue evolving into compliance engines and confidential compute. But all you have to remember for now is that the oracles is a list of nodes, independent nodes. They're not run by Chainlink. However, they run the Chainlink logic, but these are very independent nodes signing those reports or whatever they get from the offside and coming up to a consensus. And then on top of that, we have then the products. So that's in essence, in a nutshell, the Oracle's story. And we've been working with large financial institutions across the world. Ilan just mentioned Drex, a very interesting use case. We'll discuss that and what was the use case specifically. But we've been working with other MIs, CSDs, DTCC, Euroclear, SDX, ANZ, and Swift in helping them in bridging networks. And we can have a very simple use case here before we enter into the CCIP, but a very simple but really illustrates what CCIP is good at. We've seen that there's tons of networks out there, some of them blockchain networks. Some of them are public blockchain, some of them are private blockchains. And these are isolated networks. They are not meant to talk to each other because they're not built like that. They're it's just like a smart contract. They have been architectured in a certain way, so they are very smart, but in their world, in their kitchen. So how do you bridge these two things? This is where CCIP comes in. It's a cross-chain interoperability protocol that helps in implementing functionality in an atomic way, or I would say in a similar atomicity that we know. And it's not the atomic as we know in the database world where you commit and or maybe you have two phases commit. It's not like that for those who are very into the relational databases, but it's an atomicity in the way I will describe in a sec. In this case, with ADDX and ANZ, what's happening here is that there is a DVP contract running on each of these networks. You will see in the diagram. So at a certain point, you want to make sure before you deliver your assets to the buyer or on the other side, if you're the seller, you want to make sure that your funds, the cash, is coming. And as well is if you're the buyer, you don't want to take the risk or giving your money if you don't see that asset on your wallet. So this is where CCIP orchestrates all these operations in making sure the assets, whether we're talking about the cash or the tokens, if you're selling something, they are locked before you release your cash. So these orchestrations is all about making sure the contracts are pulling the assets to escrow, if we're doing escrow here, and make sure they reach finality on each of the networks. Now, in this diagram, you see something that is in the blue line here on both sides, is that when it comes to integrating public blockchains with private blockchains, a very common requirement is to ensure confidentiality. And we have this the privacy manager that can help in doing that too. Now I'm going to enter into CCIP and more details about what CCIP is. So CCIP is a bridge, and as the name suggests, is an interoperability protocol because it really helps in making sure that whatever network you're integrating with is interoperable. It doesn't matter if it's a Solana with Solidity, Solana with Polygon or Ethereum with other L2 networks. It really helps in speaking the same language, if I may say. What can you do with CCIP? You can transfer tokens, you can transfer data, and can be any arbitrary messaging. In a recent project with CSD, we were able to send a standard payload they have defined in a network over is actually a corporate action data over to their chain, and as you may see, it's not really a token; it's an arbitrary message. Obviously, there were some functions or contracts, smart contracts, processing that message. But you can also send data and tokens. So a very common example when it comes to data and tokens is to say, hey, I'm transferring you these to that specific contract on the destination chain. And when it lands over there, make sure you execute these functions on this smart contract. So that's a very powerful way to transfer assets. So this diagram that I show on a call with Carolina earlier this week, we were seeing what are the main components of CCIP. I know the diagram this diagram can look very complex, but it's actually very, very simple. You will see why. We have two Oracle networks, as you see here. We got the committing decentralized Oracle network, and the executing done. On both sides, the destination, the source and destination, what we have here is obviously we have the sender with their own tokens and or data. We have what we call a router. This is a Chainlink component, part of tCIP. I'll explain why. And then we have the mechanism to on-ramp and a token pool. And then on the other side, we have the off-ramp that will then do the operations needed when those tokens lands over there, and then a router to integrate with the receiver. So router, as you understand here, is a way to integrate with the tCIP, and it's a very simple code. I don't know if people here are technical, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time here with that. But this is the interface of the router on both sides, source and destination. So this is what the app, your app, will integrate. So a very simple client. You define in the message what you want to send, a token or a specific message, some arguments, and then you call this function tCIP send. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to go back to the diagram to continue explaining what we have here. So we saw the committing done, the executing done, the router, the on-ramp and off-ramp. Now you may ask, what's this risk management and compliance capabilities? This is the evolution of tCIP. There's been a lot of requirements in the industry about being able to enforce certain policies. So classic example is recently with Coinbase. They love this idea of tCIP, but they want to make sure that they are in control when they start blocking or unlocking on the other side. So there is a third step, if you like, in the process, and they can plug those processes or those implementations as part of the tCIP. So it's very modular. Another example on compliance is that, and this may resonate with the central banks, is that you want to make sure that before you transfer something, before it really goes on that on-ramp, that destination is not sanctioned, or that the destination is part of something that has been KYC. I want to see attestations around that. So that's another really good example on how tCIP is evolving. It's not just transferring something, but also enforcing certain policies before you do something. So if I'm transferring something from this source to destination, what's going to happen on those dones is that you're going to have two sort of very big and important steps. One is the committing done. As soon as you see something in the on-ramp pool, or it will pick that. If we're talking about tokens, it will pick that over there and will make sure that that token has been locked if we're doing a lock. If we're doing a lock and an unlock. So it will make sure, and it will prove with the hashes and mathematical proofs that this is true. It will create a tree of a miracle tree, and then it will put it on the off-ramp, just there for waiting. Nothing is happening so far. And then what happens after is that the executing done will get notified that something is waiting there in the off-ramp. And will say, oh, I need to do something. Let me just have a look with the on-ramp, what's going on. Okay. And it will do the same mathematical calculations, different dones, different nodes, so different signatures, if you like. And this is where it's very secure. And then if it confirms that all of that is correct, then it does the operations on chain, whatever you need to do there, unlock or mint. So that's tCIP. Now I want to get into, maybe in the next 5 minutes, some of the use cases. Yeah, this is just, I'm not going to deep dive into that, but you can do different strategies around sending those tokens from destination to, from source to destination. You can lock and mint, you can burn and mint, you can lock and unlock, really depending on what you want to achieve. I guess my first example, when it comes to examples, the one I like, and probably because I'm very familiar with this one, is this fund subscription and payment over Swift. I briefly discussed something that we're doing with Swift, and it was launched as a pilot last year. And it is about, if you remember, we are Chainlink, the CRE, the Chainlink runtime environment, takes or integrates with Swift systems to take some of those traditional messages standards and translate those into instructions that are understood for contracts. So what's happening in this use case high level is that you get UBS who tokenize some of their funds. We call that a UMINT fund. It's sitting somewhere in one public blockchain, I think it's Ethereum. And then you get the fund distributors. These are entities that get subscriptions and redemptions throughout the day. And at a certain point, they will say, hey, look, we need to execute all these subscriptions and redemptions based on today's time and based on the NAV, the net asset value. So the fund distributor here will send all these instructions to this digital transfer agent contract. They will see it over there. And then at a certain point, as I mentioned, they will send the instructions for the digital transfer agent to execute all these operations based on the price of the fund that will come from an off-chain data source. This is where data feeds are very important because the contract will ask the feeds or the decentralized Oracle networks, hey, give me the price here. And then all of that is very standard. Where CCIP comes in is what if the fund contract is sitting somewhere else? So if you're the buyer, you obviously, if you're in blockchain A and your stable coins are in blockchain A, and then on the other side you get the funds, and if you're buying two of them, you want those funds to be transferred to your blockchain A, isn't it? So this is where CCIP comes in, and we saw that earlier. This is where you start creating your strategy, what you want to do. You want to send us those using a burnt and mint or lock and unlock. It really depends what you really want to do here. But that's a really, really powerful use case. Why don't we go and have a look at the Drex one, and then I open for questions. So Drex, I was just looking for an article about Drex. I found it, but oh, it's actually in this. There's an article here. Yeah, here we go. So the story of Drex, and maybe I should give a bit more information about this because it's a really cool project. So initially, the project was focusing on the purchase of commodities. For example, soybeans transported from Brazil to buyers in Hong Kong. And the key idea of this initiative was to evaluate the potential and effectiveness, really, of using central bank digital currencies for funding and executing international trade payments. So the role of Chainlink here was to specifically provide the cross-chain interoperability protocol with CCIP, but also some bridging with off-chain systems. So Chainlink, in that case, facilitated the access of external data sources, obviously via APIs, to, if I remember well, Project Ensemble and GSBN, which is the global shipping business group. The idea there was to integrate with electronic bills of lading. This is in the trade trade finance, which is a very complex story to discuss in 5 minutes. But so you understand. So CCIP was at the core of integrating these two blockchains. Drex blockchain, which is a base blockchain operated by the Central Bank of Brazil. And then on the other side, you have the trade finance blockchain, which is managed by Bank Inter, I think, if I remember well. So the idea here was to implement a DVP flow. I know there are some steps. There's certainly some description there in the article. And actually, let me just share that here in case you want to have a look. You'll find in this article also the one I mentioned about the Swift one, which could be useful. There you go. You have the link. So in this case, very similar to what we discussed with the Swift UBS and the fund distributor. What CCIP is doing here is facilitating that delivery versus payment flow. So on one side, on the right-hand side of this diagram, you will lock the electronic Hong Kong dollars. You will scroll that somewhere, and then you start releasing some of the transfers on the other side with the central bank digital currency. And so yeah, that's in a nutshell what this project was all about. Now I hope that was useful, and I'm happy to take some questions if there are.
Thank you, Alvaro. I think it's great what you just share. Can you, and I would like to pass the word in a bit to Carolina because I know she might have some other technical questions. But can you move like 2 or 3 slides back to to the one with your infrastructure?
What's this one here?
I think it's the 18. Yeah, that one.
This one here, okay.
Yeah, that one with the router and the receiver and the okay. Based on that architecture that you have, of those components that we can see there, are all of them part of that CCIP platform, or are some of them that needs to be created, tailor-made for each case?
Yeah, so all of that is, everything that you see here from router to router is part of the Chainlink stack, Chainlink CCIP.
Okay.
Obviously, we discuss about these risk management and compliance capabilities. If you want to bring some extra checks, that's something that is tailored, so it's custom. And I mentioned the story of Coinbase. Sorry, I'm not. No, it's Circle. Sorry, it was Circle. Where
and
they.
Let me just.
Sorry.
Yeah, if I can also chime in here. So, depending on the use cases, Elon, that you guys are looking at, that risk management can include checks like at the moment of issuing a tokenized asset, whether it's a qualified investor or not, whether it's a sanctioned entity. Jurisdictional checks can be put in there. There's so many things that we can actually do on compliance related activities to allow or not allow transactions to flow through.
Got it.
So, and that sits on top, and it's all built in within Alvaro, I guess, within CRE. If at some point, perhaps Alvaro, you can show the CRE stack as well, so that they understand, the capabilities that are being combined with CCIP to give you a lot of more powerful use cases. And to enable a lot more powerful use cases in terms of being able to do certain checks and even identity management and identity confirmation. I'll just leave it there then.
At least for me, this slide is very insightful. I see the value or how is the structure, but I'm not sure if I am seeing that this is kind of more like very suitable for cryptocurrencies, right? With the on-ramp and off-ramp. How does model or how this model looks like in the wholesale CBDC model that you work with Drex?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, it's very similar. And so I'll explain why. Actually, I found that this link can be also useful. This is what I was trying to, and this will give you some answers. So everything that you see here in the dotted line is actually CCIP components. And obviously this is with the circle attestation that they come at the end when the committing done is about to do something to attest that they can execute the minting, for example. On your question about, yeah, it looks like very crypto, very stable coins. How does it work in other type of assets? It's actually the same, if you think, because in the case of a CDBC, you may think that on one side in the source blockchain, you'll have a central bank deploying their own contracts to this is where they be able to tokenize their tokens, and then this token pool will then have an integration with those smart contracts of the central bank to say, hey, now we want to block because there's something that is happening here. So, and then on the other side, obviously, the similar use case needs to happen. Specifically for the CDBC for central bank to central bank, we'll need to assess what's the best strategy there to do a burn and mint or lock and unlock. These strategies are very important. But to your question, Ilan, it may look like very tailored for crypto, but is a similar concept when it comes to other tokenized assets.
Thank you. Thank you, Alvaro. Carol, do you have any question or team in the call?
Well, I think that, yeah, what I was going to ask was very similar to what you asked, Ilan, about if it was only applied to currencies or if it was able to be suitable to any other tokenized asset. But I think that that's already clear. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Carol, were you going to say something?
No, for the moment, no.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I think I would like to go in the direction of requirements for our POC. Alvaro, from your perspective, I mean, we know that we have a network in Brazil, another network in Colombia, and we have our own network, right? For this specific purpose. What kind of requirements you will need from us, for example, to support with the architecture design of how the integration might work?
Mm-hmm. In relation to CCIP, I assume.
In terms of interoperability, exactly.
Yeah. So
and, just to be clear, that's the CBDC use case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we're not talking about a tokenized asset like a bond or something.
No, for the moment, we have only one.
For the moment?
For tokenized, yes, for central bank digital currencies.
CBDC. Okay,
we had another one, but we are prioritizing, only first one.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to be clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to answer that question, and we may bring a series of other items in today or after the session, is what's the architecture that we're trying to achieve here? Are we trying to integrate Brazil with Colombia or Brazil with the CBWeb, like your own blockchain? That's what I was trying to say. What is it that we're trying to integrate? So what on having a high level view on what we're trying to achieve is really helpful. I think the team is working on that, from what I understood. So from there, typical questions will be, what's the type of blockchain that we're trying to implement or integrate? My understanding is that we are dealing with some private blockchain, some of them on EVM, hopefully. Then what's the use case? I know we're talking about CDBC, but what's the use case we're trying to implement? Is that the DVP or is that the PVP? I hope that the architecture will elaborate on that. That's another input, Ilan. Then from there on, I will take into, okay, what's the token type we are trying to transfer? And then we will have to enter into discussions about these strategies that I mentioned earlier, about the burn and mint, lock and unlock, those sort of things. Those are like the main inputs.
Yeah. And I think one of the decisions that needs to be taken early on is the token type, because some of the capability we spoke about doing some compliance checks or other related checks really are kind of like dependent on the type of token that you're using.
Caro, do we have that defined?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Jairo?
If we have the token.
I think Ilan asked if you already have. I think in the last meeting you're still working on defining what type of token it would be, right?
Yeah.
No, we still working as you mentioned, Alvaro, too. We're still working with the company that is going to develop the whole solution, and we are not decided exactly what is the token that we are going to have. But yes, it is an EVM, and the idea, or is we want to use Besu. It is near to be the final decision, but even with that, I cannot say that it is Besu. But yes, for another questions, we don't have a final decision, so we expect to have that in the next year. But yes, you are in the next session, and I think that it is another thing that we need to talk here. That is that we want to have the next this next session in January 15. 15, yes.
Yeah.
And for that point, we will have all of that question solved. For what are exactly the backlog? What is how we are going to develop the backlog? Who can help us and in what points? Yes, is that how we can expect to have the things clear.
I'll send you after this call a few links to CCIP and things to consider when you're making those decisions, including the items I just mentioned.
Thank you very much, Alvaro. That's welcome.
The other thing is, it's a minor thing, but the SDK that we release to integrate with CCIP. Remember the functions I mentioned with the interfaces and all of that. It is the two programming languages that are supported at the moment. Obviously, you can extend it, but the two that Chainlink supports is Go and TypeScript.
good information too. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, just to confirm, Carolina, did you mention that we will have an update on the requirements on January 15?
I expect to before that, but this meeting is in that day.
Okay, okay. It is just a matter of logistics because our next session, if we are tied to the schedule, it should be on Christmas, December
Exactly.
25. So we are going
And
to
the
cancel
another
that
one,
session.
the first day of the year, so it is.
In that case, that will be January 8th. January the 8th.
Exactly,
So,
but yes, this. Sorry.
so my question to you is it okay to have a next session, this session on January 8th, or we need to postpone it after January 15th?
Yes, no, for January 15. It's the idea because we don't
Okay.
know if all the people can be before January 8th. So this is to have all the minds clear.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So I'm going to ask to cancel this session until January, and that will be
Yes, please.
January instead of 8, it will be 22nd. Okay. So we are going to regroup in January 22nd.
No. In the 15, and then in 29, and then 12.
No, because this session is bi-weekly. So
Yes.
unless I'm wrong,
We cannot
the cadence will be December 25, January 8th, January 22nd.
yes,
Yeah,
but we
to keep
cannot.
it simple, I would just cancel the next two meetings and then pick up on the meeting after that that's already scheduled for January 22nd.
Okay.
Mhm.
Since this meeting is already on people's calendars, I don't want to
Okay.
change the meeting
Yeah.
schedule
Okay,
again
Karen.
because then you might lose some people. So I would just
Mhm.
cancel the next two meetings and the one after that is the 22nd.
Okay, Karen. That's okay.
Mhm. Okay. All right. All right, everybody. I think that's all for today. Unless anybody has any question for us, for the project, or for Alvaro. I think.
Yes, thank you, Alvaro. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, and
Yeah.
have a good rest of the end of the year, and good luck, Ilan, in your new
You do.
duties.
Thank,
Bye-bye.
thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day, everybody, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
You
Reality,
too,
so
Ilan.
thank you
Good
so much
luck.
for the
Good
update.
luck, Ilan.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care,
Bye.
everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you.